We have implemented a defense which we think really complements our man-to-man pressure defense. And in deciding what to implement, we thought we would try to go with a matchup defense that was extremely aggressive and had an attacking posture to it. What we're looking for in our matchup defense is something that can change the pace of the game defensively and give the offense something different to look at. What we're trying to do is line up in a 1-1-3 alignment whenever the ball is in the center of the floor. We have a guard in an up position, a guard in a back position. We have guards or have post players, inside players in these three positions. And what we can do with this defense is obviously stretch it out, lengthen it out up the floor, and do a variety of things with a trapping type of situation, run and jump of that nature. But what we're going to show you are the basic things we do half court, and then you'll see some tape which will show some of these other adjustments. The first thing we want to do defensively is make sure that all of our movements are in the nature of a sprint rather than a slide. We're trying to move and run in our closeouts to get to positions, then break down into a good defensive stance, and then use our step sliding movements. But you have to stress the idea of not of sliding to position, but sprinting to those positions. That's key before you do anything else. The first thing that we try to stress is, number one, we want to stop the basketball. We want to stop the ball. We don't want the ball to have an opportunity to progress up the floor. We want the ball stopped at all situations in which it's moved on a half-court basis. Next thing we want to do is, once we've stopped the ball, we want to put pressure on the basketball. Pressure the ball as much as possible. We want to have pressure on the ball when it's being held, when it's being caught, when it's being passed, dribbled, shot. We want pressure on the basketball. The third thing, and this is a key concept that you'll hear over and over in the matchup, is the closest man concept. The closest man takes the ball. The man who is closest to the ball. When there's doubt in the player's mind on who's coverage, who is going to have coverage on the basketball, you use the closest man rule, and it takes care of all judgment situations. Running to coverage areas. As we've said before, it's sprints. We want to sprint to all our coverage areas. Sprinting, not a trot, not a slide, but a dead-out sprint, and then break down into your defensive stance. Another thing that we're going to try to do on all these dead sprint closeouts is to realize that once the shot goes up, we want to have 5 people rebounding. And we need to really stress the importance of guards rebounding in the matchup defense. It's critical that we have all 5 players rebounding, and your guards will have great rebounding games if they follow their assignments in this particular defense. Now let's talk a little bit about guard responsibilities in the matchup defense and what we like them to do. As we said before, you can free your guards up a little bit in this. They've got good quickness, good instincts. You can let them do some things on a full court basis. But let's talk about basic things the guards will do. First thing we want the guards to do is their responsibility is to pressure the ball anytime it's above the free throw line area extended. Anytime you extend that free throw line, anything above it, we want guard pressure on the basketball. And we want them to pressure the ball as strongly as possible and play it just like a man-to-man defense. The guards always work in a tandem. So if guard's over here, he's going to have another guard behind him. If he's over here, he's going to have another guard behind him. You work in a tandem relationship at all times so you can keep the defensive structured where you'll have help for that man pressuring the basketball. And then the most important concept for guards, and the thing that we've found gives us the most trouble defensively, is the guards must work as a tandem to keep the ball out of the high post. It is critical that this area, the high post area, is defensed by the guards. And they have to do it together. One of the guards, the up man, by pressuring the ball, and then the widen or the back man by keeping the ball out of the high post area. Critical concept for guards, keep the ball out of the high post. Basic positions for our guards. Basic positions. If the ball is over here, there will be a man up. He will guard the ball. The man on the ball. If you're playing the ball, you're the ball guard. You pressure the ball as much as possible when it's above the free throw line extended. Widen. Widen is a position behind the front guard. Ball's over here. The widen man would assume this position somewhere on the circle, and he's in a position to keep the ball out of the high post and to give help if the ball's driven to the middle past our guard who's pressuring the ball on top. Another position is the halfway position. When the ball is at the wing and being played by an up man, one of these men right here, the ball moves to this position. It's passed over. This man will come up to play it. This guard will move to a halfway position, one step off the lane and moving in a position where he's facing the basketball, helping to keep the ball out of the high post and ready to help on any drive of the basketball to the middle of the floor. Cutoff. When the ball's passed to the corner, this guard will now move into a position where he cuts off a pass back out from the corner. This guard will move to cover the high post. He will move to stop the pass from being made out of the corner. That's called cutoff position. And he will keep the ball from being swung to the other side of the floor. As you can see, the guards are working in tandem. That's a principle for the guards, to work in tandem, pressuring the basketball, keeping it out of the high post. When the ball goes to the corner, they move to cutoff positions, trying to stop reversal of the basketball. Now we want to look at the three basic positions the inside men assume when playing the matchup defense. Their positions initially can be as high as the offense will allow them to move up the lane. If the offense puts someone on the baseline, then they can't move up quite as high up the lane. Their position in relation to how close they're going to be to each other, late in the game you may want to move them all in the lane if you're constricting your defense and allowing the outside shot. If you have excellent quickness among your inside people, you might want to spread them out a little bit. But we normally try to start with a foot in the lane for our two outside men and have our middle man communicating, talking. Now when the ball is moved to the wing, and we like to have the inside men cover everything from the free throw line extended down, and if there's a question and it's on the line, they take it. If the ball moves to this position right here, this man assumes the up position and he plays the ball. He pressures the ball as much as possible when it's being held, passed, caught, dribbled, shot. He's going to put pressure on the basketball. This man will then assume a middle position, and he will call out middle, middle, middle. This man will call ball, ball, ball to let everybody know he's the up man. He's got the middle. This man moves to a hoop position right in front of the basket, and he'll be calling hoop, hoop, hoop. We like to make 3-word calls to call out our positions, and this verbalizing helps improve the quality of our defense at all 5 positions because players identify in their mind and verbalize the positions that they're taking. Up takes the ball. Middle defenses the post and provides help. Hoop helps to defend against lob passes and gives support and weak side rebounding. So these are the positions that we're looking for. Now the basic shifts that are going to take place. The man pressuring the ball at the wing is in the up position. And let's say the ball is passed to the corner. The simplest shift to take in this position is to take the up man in this position and take the middle man and execute what is called an up to middle shift or sprint. This man moves out to play the ball. This man sprints. Usually it takes 3 running sprinting strides to get into this position. And we want to get in a position where we can dead front the post facing the ball. This man will sprint back in an up to middle sprint to get into position to keep the ball from going into the post. This man goes from middle to up. So now we have up, middle, hoop. This situation, the guard who was on top will have moved to cut off. Another move that we can make in this situation, pass goes to the corner. Let's say the player is not so low on the baseline. Or let's say that we have a situation where we're trying to play behind the postman. Either of those situations. We can be fronting or playing behind the post. When the pass goes to the corner, the post man can yell, stay. Maybe he's close enough this man can take him right away, or maybe it's a big post man who's a real good offensive rebounder we're playing behind. He'll yell, stay. This man will assume coverage here, so he moves from up down to this man. He's still the up man. It's a stay call. The middle man makes the call. The man guarding the post is going to tell the up man to stay, and he knows that he'll follow the path of the pass right down to the corner and pick up the ball and pressure it. Now, another situation that we'll encounter is when the ball is dribbled to the wing. There's a guard playing the ball here. We have our players in this position, awaiting movement of the basketball. The ball is dribbled to the wing. Guard stays with it. He's playing it and staying with it. This man sees that. Rather than bump the guard off, he moves to what's called a modified up. One step in front of the post and in a passing lane to the post man. This man moves to the middle position. This man moves to hoop. Now if the ball is passed to the corner or dribbled hard, he can come and take the ball when it goes well below the dotted line, the free throw line extended. So this is what we call modified up, where the man who would normally be in the up position, because the ball's dribbled there and the guard stayed with the ball, he moves to a modified up position where he will then make his next move on the dribble or the pass of the basketball below the free throw line extended. Now, if you're facing a lot of zone attacks that use a step out type of movement in their zone attack, the best way to cover that is to use what is called the up to hoop sprint, and we want to show that to you right now. Now let me say, you'll have to decide as a coach, we believe, on whether you like the up to middle sprint or the up to hoop. We found with our team, because we play a lot of man-to-man defense and not much matchup defense, that we're better off to stay with one of those basic slides, the up to hoop or the up to middle. Now we've chosen up to hoop because it allows us to cover these step outs. If you're playing a lot of matchup, you might be able to use both of these. But the two basic ones that you're going to use are going to be up to hoop or up to middle. We've tried both of them. We feel that the up to hoop gives you more coverages and helps you cover more things, and you don't have to practice quite as much. You may be the kind of coach that can practice both of them and get your team to use them both because you play more matchup. So let's look at an up to hoop coverage. This man's moved up to the up position, playing the ball. We have a man who's moved over into the middle position, and this man has moved over to the hoop position. When the ball is passed to the corner, it's now down here. This man will move out to take it. He assumes the up position. This man moves from the hoop over here to play the post. He assumes the middle position. This man who has been on the ball, it's now passed, turns and sprints. Turn in this direction, seeing the ball, and sprints to the hoop position. That takes 7 running strides to get to that position. He will turn and sprint to the hoop position. You can see that it affords much better coverage for step-out situations. And that's what we're concerned about, people going out to that short corner. So up to hoop is the sprint we would use when the ball goes to the corner in our scheme of thinking, because we're going to play a lot of man-to-man, and when we go to matchup, we want to be able to do one thing and do it well. Some people may be able to do more than just that particular sprint. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about some breakdown drills that you can utilize with the guards, and then we'll go into some breakdown drills for the post players, the inside players, in learning the matchup sprints. First thing that we'd like to show you is a situation where we put 2 perimeters working in tandem against 3 offensive players. And this is to help them to learn to work together and guard the basketball as teammates. We have an up man, we have a widen man. Ball's passed around. We like to start these men where they're above the free throw line extended. So the guards know that the coverage is going to be such that when the ball goes in here, he sprints back in, he comes out. Ball's passed back out, he's going to come back out, he's going to sprint back in. Ball comes over to the wing. He's going to be coming out to play it. He's sprinting back in. And they get the idea of the tandem movement. Then later on, you can use the dribble. And this man will stay with it. He'll adjust his position. You might have this guy loop, throw it back, work on your coverages. Now, a key factor is to guard the high post area. So something that you can start to do then is to put a coach in here or a player offensively just to step from side to side in the high post. And now the ball comes back out here to the top. I have to cover this high post before I come out and make sure that this man's coming back in to get the high post before I release and close out on the basketball. You do not need to rush the ball out here. It's more critical to keep the ball from going to the high post, then make your coverage to pressure the ball on top. You can begin then to add players in these positions. So when the ball's passed, it's right here, it goes down. We want this guard who is playing the ball right here to move into position to cut off. We want this guard covering the high post. So by moving the pass below, we work on getting a cutoff, and we get a man keeping the ball out of the high post. Everything is done in a tandem movement by the perimeter players and keeping the ball out of the high post area and putting pressure on the basketball on the perimeter. Now let's talk a little bit about big players and the things that they can do to learn their movements inside. The primary drill that we use in the breakdown fashion to work with the inside players on their closeouts and sprints is to start out with the inside players taking their positions and using 3 offensive men. Basketball, when it's moved to this position, they will come up. If the ball is above, the man will be in a modified up. Later on in the drill, we move him down below the free throw line extended. Now he'll take him in an up position, guarding the ball. This man takes the middle. This man moves to hoop. Pass is made to the corner. You now will decide which sprint you think is the best sprint for your team or the sprint you want to practice at this time. It could be an up to middle or an up to hoop. So if it's an up to middle, he'll sprint back to cover the post. This man closes out. This man is still in the hoop position. If you choose to make the up to hoop type of movement, when the pass is made, he will sprint to the hoop position. The middle man will close out, become the up man. The hoop man will come in this position to be the middle man. Either one of those two. The modified up is used when a dribble is taken by the guard and picked up above the free throw line extended, or the guard picks up the ball. This man will be in a modified up type of position. The stay is used when the ball is dribbled down, or it's a short pass and the postman tells him on that short pass to take the ball, or if the postman is playing behind late in the game, he will ask the man to stay so he can be in a position to block out. Now, when the ball's in this corner and we've made our movements, the guards are not with us, but if they were, they would be cutting off this pass. So anytime you run this drill, the pass is made out here. Now the players must move to assume their positions and return back to the 1-1-3 alignment with the 3 men inside in these positions. Now you'll want to add some more players, so you'll have an opportunity to skip the ball and get different types of rotations, because if you just work 3 on one side, you'll keep working 2 players and never really get a complete rotation. So when the ball is skipped out of the corner or skipped in this fashion, let's set up a situation with the ball here. We're going to skip it all the way across the floor and see how we cover that. We've got an up, we've got a middle, we've got a hoop. We'll skip the ball all the way across. Closest man takes it. Middle man, go to hoop. That's how we're going to cover a skip pass. Now, if you don't have enough players, you may want to use chairs in a post position, managers. If you don't have managers, student coaches, whatever, put chairs, but let them know there's something they've got to protect in that post area. They're going to have to get in front of, they're going to have to guard, so they can make good sprints in their coverages, and they can make solid closeouts when they have to take the basketball. Now, after we've done all of this and moving the basketball, we try to bring everyone together and operate in the drill that we think really puts a lot of intensity into our matchup defense and really teaches the players that they can cover a lot more than just a 5-on-5 situation. So we'll set up with offensive players in all of these positions, and we'll start out with an emphasis on the passing of the basketball as opposed to dribbling the basketball. And we've got a 5-on-8 situation, and then we put our defensive players in, and we tell them that they've got to really sprint, really move, and work on their closeouts, and now we start moving the basketball. And this gives us an opportunity to get all 5 players working together. They've got to guard post players, they've got to fight screen ins, get over those screens, close out, they've got to work to get in front of post men, they've got to keep the ball out of the high post. Then we add dribble penetration and allow the ball to be dribbled. Now when they're closeouts, they have to be conscious of the ball being driven to the middle of the floor, into gaps. So they're really going to work hard on all of these movements in a 5-on-8 situation. And then the other work that we get in working in our matchup is when we go through our change periods and our scrimmage periods in practice, and we'll be changing defense off of free throws, and teams will be setting up different things, and we'll be able to even press out of it, trap out of it, anything of that nature that fits in with our full court pressure. But our basic half-court matchup, we use these breakdown drills to try to teach the concepts, and then we bring it back together in a 5-on-8, and then we try to do a lot of 5-on-5 work, working with the matchup against a zone attack or any type of offensive attack that we might encounter. Okay, we'd like to talk a little bit now about the rebounding responsibilities in the matchup defense. We'll once again go to the board here. I want to show you some things that will help you determine responsibilities when a shot is taken. We start in the initial 1-1-3 alignment, and we just put one offensive player out here to show you how we go to our rebound areas. Let's say the ball is dribbled off to the side. This man's working to keep it out of the high post. He's shading over here. The shot is taken up from on top. As the shot is taken, these players will work to have triangular rebound position. The guard who's covering the high post will move to the dotted circle on the weak side to rebound. This player will block out the shooter and then quickly move to the dotted circle area here. So it gives us a triangular rebounding positioning by our bottom men in the zone, in the matchup, and it gives us rebounding from our guards. And we cannot stress strongly enough how important it is for your guards to rebound in the matchup. We think it's important for our guards to rebound in our man-to-man defense, but it's even more critical for them to work hard at rebounding in the matchup. Because every time we play matchup defense, we're dead fronting the postman. Now we're going to move the basketball to the side of the floor and have a big man or a man on the bottom of the matchup playing there. We are dead fronting the post. Now you cannot accept excuses from your postmen that they cannot block out, they can't rebound. They have to spin, fight, pin the man under the board, whatever they have to do to work the glass hard. And you need to also realize that the shot will probably go to the weak side board. So once again, it's critical that we get 2-on-1 weak side board coverage. So when the shot is taken, the ball goes to the basket. We want 3 blocking out on the weak side. We want 5 spinning, fighting to get position. 2 goes to the weak side boards to block out. 1 comes in and covers the center and fights as hard as he can to rebound in the center of the floor. 4 will block out and then move to the lane area to pick up long rebounds, work the middle of the basket area. So 2 distinct areas a shot will come from, either the side or on top. Obviously, it's much easier to block out when the shot's taken from on top. You really have to work hard when the ball's taken to the side because you're going to be in a dead front on the postman. And I once again want to emphasize that if you're going to play this defense, your guards have to work at rebounding very hard on the defensive board. They cannot run down the floor and release for an early fast break. And size is not a factor if you want to be a great rebounder as a guard. Quickness and toughness and being able to react to the basketball is much, much more important. Now, we'd like to show you the adjustments that are made defensively when you have to guard the ball out of bounds in the matchup. Basically, what we like to do is set up in a 2-3 alignment, to guard the ball on the out-of-bounds play on the baseline. We have this man sort of shading the side, keeping the ball from going in the lane. This man is the hoop. He's coming over. This man's cheating in, trying to keep a foot in the lane, and then if the pass is made to the short corner, he will close out to the short corner area. The guards fill in the gaps and try to make sure that they're able to close out on anything thrown over their head. So what we're trying to do is protect the basket area by massing 5 people there, and then we're going to be alert to any lobs that are made, and when the pass is made to the short corner, we're going to close out. So if the ball goes to the short corner, we're going to have a closeout by 3, 5 moves to dead front the post, 4 is the hoop, 2 comes out to cut off, 1 covers the high post. And we're right into our matchup positions. It really helps us to be able to move from this quick, congested alignment into our matchup coverages. There are opportunities at times where you might want to trap the ball when it goes to the corner and free this man up to play for the interception. A lot of teams just throw it in and they're very careless. You can look to trap sometimes if that fits your defensive scheme of thinking. Now, if a team lines up in a line type of formation, the only advice we can give you is against any lob, I think you have to get belly up more to guard it. So if they get in a lineup, move up a little closer so you can make it much tougher for them to throw the lob. And it might be a situation where you might want to free a man up to put pressure on the basketball. That's an adjustment that you'll have to look at with your personnel. So you can either belly up with everyone or free a man up to pressure the ball, then everyone else plays up close on the line to make sure that they don't throw the easy lob to people who are clearing out or wedge blocking to set that particular out-of-bounds play up. Now, likewise, you have the situation of playing defense on the sideline out-of-bounds play. And what we like to do is, obviously, you could just let the ball come in, but we don't prefer to do that. We prefer to take our 3 smaller people, our point guard, shooting guard, and our short forward, and have them line up any way the offense lines up. If they're in a line with 3 people, we'll line up 3 people. If they put 4 up, we will put 3 up and cheat a post man up a little and have our hoop man sort of play as a free safety. He's back there reading the eyes, hands, and feet of the passer. So what we want to do is be able to be in a position where we can put pressure on them, and then as soon as the ball comes in, we're still in position to get into our matchup coverage. If the ball's dribbled down, he's going to cut off. He's going to be covering the high post. You can see how you can quickly move into the positions where you're playing the ball, you're playing the middle, you're playing the hoop position, you're cutting off, you're covering the high post. All of these can be moved into quickly from a sideline out-of-bounds situation where you have put tremendous pressure not allowing the ball to come in. So these are things that you can use to cover out-of-bounds plays either on the baseline or on the sideline. There are some adjustments that we found that we've been able to make with our personnel to make the matchup a little harder to recognize, to make it a defense that you can use in late game situations or you can use to apply pressure, where it really looks like a man-to-man defense, and then you come back and you're in a matchup and it really causes problems for the offense. There are a lot of variations that you can use, a lot of adjustments that you can use, but they're going to be keyed by your personnel, how quick your people are, how smart your people are, how much depth you have. But we really think these things are things that you might want to use and you might want to employ. If we want to extend full court pressure with our matchup, we'll send our 2 guards up and let them front, much as you would in man-to-man full court pressure. We'll send our short forward up to act as a free man. He will play in a position where he can pick off passes that might be made to either one of these 2 receivers that are up. And his big responsibility is to play that first pass in if it comes over the top of the guards. And then most of all, if that pass is made successfully, his big assignment is to stop the basketball. So if a pass is made, it's his job to come over and stop the ball until one can reestablish position. And then you just apply pressure until you're back into the matchup. And how hard that pressure is depends on your personnel, time in the game, score of the game, what you want to do in that particular situation. We've found that many times you can trap. And then you make adjustments where people will cheat up and play passing lanes. But you've always got that safety of 1 or 2, in some cases, big people back to protect the basket, freeing up 3 people to just random press and do anything they'd like to do. Run and jump, trap, maybe one trap, two traps, maybe just wild trapping. We've had one game we played in our championship season where we were down 22 points at halftime. In the second half, we played matchup the entire second half and ran guards in and out every 2 minutes, 2 fresh guards, just wild trapping, just out-of-control trapping to force the other team to shoot the ball quickly, because that was the only chance we had of winning the game. And even encouraging them just to go against 3 men waiting back to defense, a guard coming down the lane, taking shots that were a little bit out of control. So you're going to adjust to the situation you face, either soft pressure, trapping, or just wild kamikaze pressing because you're in dire straits and you need to get the basketball. Now, one of the things that we've found in playing in tournaments, and particularly championship tournament play, is that you may want to play the matchup where you play no cutoffs. And this is a situation where you're in your alignment and you're 1-1-3. The ball's brought down the floor. The ball's taken to the side, and it's passed to the corner. Now, normally, 2 would come out here and cut off the pass. 1 would cover the high post. But when we play no cutoffs, we tell 1 to flatten out, play in a widened position, and we tell 2 to play the high post, and we leave this area open. And we have played in tournaments, particularly tournaments where you play in large arenas, ice hockey type of arena where there's a very poor spatial background for the shooter. It's hard to judge depth perception. Or maybe it's just a strange court, a foreign court, and you don't get a lot of practice time on it. And we really think it might be to your advantage to pick out a player and just not guard the guy, particularly if they have a strong inside game. So when we play matchup, no cutoffs, we're going to let this pass be made back out. And then we may close out in the guy, or we may just choose to sit in there and dare him to shoot the basketball because we feel he's not a good shooter or he's hesitant. And it's just something for you to look at as an adjustment. You may be playing a team that has such a great post man that you have to play behind him with your post and get help from on top with your guard. And that you're allowed this opportunity with the matchup to do this. The ball's here, you can get help from the 4-man. The ball goes to the corner, he can play, and you get help from 2 on top. So match up with no cutoffs might give you an opportunity to play a little psychological game with someone. And late in the game, when you're just daring them to take an outside shot, it's an opportunity for you to really make sure you've got good rebounding and you keep the ball out of the lane area. We hope that these ideas that we've tried to express to you on the matchup have been simple. The handouts that you're going to receive with the tape should be very helpful. We've tried to simplify matchup defense. We want to play an aggressive defense, and a complicated defense is very hard for players to execute aggressively. We like to use our man-to-man techniques in our matchup defense. I hope that by showing you how to defense out-of-bounds situations, that you may see some things that you might be able to do with the matchup to make it even more effective for you in these special situations. I hope that possibly some of the ideas we've expressed about adjustments might give you some ideas where you could better use your personnel and maybe take advantage of some weaknesses of opponents in your league that you really could exploit with the matchup defense. But most of all, I hope that you'll study the matchup and have that confidence in teaching it and having good techniques and good fundamentals that you'll really have a chance to be a successful championship team. If you have questions after looking at the handouts or looking at the tape, we'd gladly welcome a call from you to give you help or to answer questions that you might have. But I really feel confident that the simpler a matchup defense is and the more aggressive it is, the better the players will execute it and the more confidence they will have defensively.